young race. Young race.
What's up guys? Jeff Cavaliere, AthLEAN-X.com, here on a Friday the 13th. I figured what better way could we sort of celebrate this, whatever you want to call it, day, by then giving you what you want, which is six-pack abs and the best ways to get them. 13 tips to six-pack abs. Guys, we're going to start down here in the gym. We're going to cover some stuff upstairs in the kitchen because it's that 1-2 combination that gets them showing the most, right? First one I want to do is show you here, up on a bar, one of the quickest things you can do, especially if you're a shorter guy and you have a shorter torso, if you want to give the appearance of this six-pack a little bit more, you got to train the obliques. And the reason why is the fibers of the obliques actually run down at this angle. What it's going to do is give you actually a tapering effect leading into your abs and giving you a skinnier appearance of the waist and midsection. How do we train them? One of my favorites is just with a leg raise, but doing them with a little bit of a twist. So this would be our regular lower ab leg raise. What we're going to do is we're going to come up with a little twist. You can see we get right in there on the obliques by doing so. So remember, don't neglect the obliques. Rotate that lower body as you're doing ab work. You'll get the thing to show, you'll get it to start tapering in. Alright guys, up in the kitchen, we know that down in the gym is where you train your abs, where you reveal them is up here in the kitchen with what you eat. Big tip for you is the nutrient fusion that I like to call, and how we combine the foods that we eat. The glycemic index is something that causes how quickly your blood sugar will rise after you eat a certain food. If you spike it too quickly, you're going to have a quicker descent, more likely to store body fat. So what we want to do is we want to control that and keep it stable. The way to do it, start with nutrient fusion. Combine on your plate at all times protein, carbohydrates, both lean, a starchy carbohydrate and a fibrous carbohydrate, and put it all together, and that's what you got. The result here, chicken, some fibrous carbohydrates here through your edamame, your starchy carbohydrates here with like a either a couscous or a quinoa, and then your sweet potatoes. So remember guys, at all times, never in isolation, try to combine your proteins, fibrous carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates, and get them all on one plate at one time. The X Factor meal plans handles all of that for you. Progression is key when you're doing your ab workouts. You want to make sure that you're progressing from, I like to say, lower ab movements. Now, we know it's all one muscle, but there are fibers that you can influence more or less depending upon whether you're lifting bottom towards the top or top down. So always, if you can, start with your lower ab work, because you got half of your body here that you're going to have to lift. It's going to require more strength than it is if you're going to just lift your shoulders off the ground doing some sort of upper ab or top down movement. So it just makes sense, as you're fresher with more strength, like we did the last time, do your lower ab movements. They're harder. They're harder because you got to move more weight, more legs, more mass to get the work to be done. So keep that stuff first. You'll start seeing your six-pack abs a lot quicker. Alright, so you want to turn up the heat and get that six-pack showing a little bit quicker, then you should literally turn up the heat when it comes to the foods that you eat. There's so many choices you have, but they all have one thing in common. You have crushed red pepper, cayenne pepper. You can even go for some ready-made sauces that already have these ingredients in there. The bottom line is that we have capsaicin, which is a key ingredient in here that's going to increase the thermic effect of that food. What I mean by that is the food is going to actually require more calories being burned to process it because of just that one ingredient. So use these things, guys, as you will. Don't ruin your food by putting so much of it on there, but you're going to get the effect if you put it on there. I happen to like spicy food. If you do, here's another reason to take advantage of it. As you guys know, it's not all about crunches. As a matter of fact, if you want to train like an athlete and look like an athlete, you got to do more than crunches. You got to add a lot of rotation to your ab work. you can't, as we do in AthLEAN-X, you never isolate it to just rotation laying down or rotation standing up. You got to have rotation doing both. So you got to get those exercises in there where you're rotating standing up. You got to get those exercises in there where you're on your back with the rotation of your legs lying down. Reason being is you're attacking the abs from two different angles. If you're standing, you have a fixed lower body, you're rotating from the top. If you're laying down, you have a fixed upper body, you're rotating from the bottom. The abs work from the top to the bottom to the top. If you want them to look the best, guys, like we do with AthLEAN-X, you got to train them in both ways. Okay, back again in the kitchen. Another ingredient I think that's going to help you to get to that six-pack a little quicker just by having a little bit more of this is cinnamon. Now, of course, you're going to have to eat right, guys. You're not just going to put cinnamon on cupcakes and think it's going to work its magic. But what cinnamon does is it helps your body to metabolize sugars more effectively and more efficiently. So if you think about sugars are different forms of carbohydrates. You put it on your oatmeal. It's going to help to actually increase the absorption of that, become more effective, lower that glycemic index that we talked about again before. So don't underestimate cinnamon. Again, you can put it in a lot of different things. You can even put it in just something that you drink too, lattes or whatever. But make sure you get your daily dose of cinnamon and boost your ability to get that six-pack showing quicker. Guys, when it comes to getting six-pack abs, you know, everyone wants to know what are the best tips. What can I do? What exercises should I do? What should I use? Should I use an ab roller? You know, should I do how many sets of it? How many reps should I do? Well, one of the most overlooked training variables, guys, and I'm going to tell you right now, don't overlook it, is the time, the rest time between your sets. So remember, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing it in the wrong rest time, you're not going to get the results that you have to. You got to keep those rest times minimal. You got to keep them in a very specific amount. We talk all about it in AthLEAN-X. It's one of the key elements of the program and the success of why it's become one of the best ab workouts out there, in addition to everything else. Get those rest times nailed down, guys. You know, first and foremost, then start addressing the exercises, then start addressing the reps and sets and everything else. All right, everybody knows how important water is, but if you want to actually keep your metabolism running, you have to drink water throughout the day. We know that every cell in the body requires water to operate at its highest level. So my tip is not just drink water. We know you should do that. My tip is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning should be to have a glass of water. I don't care if you just have to literally jug it down. You're going to get about 10 ounces, 12 ounces. If you can't, try to drink 2 glasses. It's probably the best time, the most likely time that you're going to be able to do that because you haven't had water for probably the last 8 to 10 hours. So your tolerance to be able to drink that much will be at its highest in the morning, and your body's need for it will also be at its highest. Back in the gym, no doubt, guys, the plank exercise is one of the best exercises you can do for your abs to get them popping and showing. That said, there's a sweet spot for where's the right place to do a plank, and everything else is wrong. So I want to show that to you real quick. When you're doing a plank, you can either be too high or too low. If I get down on my plank here and I get my butt up in the air, this is what I would say is too high. And what you're doing is you're actually making your calves do a lot of the work because you're pretty much pushing yourself up, and you're not really focusing on the whole key of this exercise, which should be right here in your abs. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you could get a sag in your low back, and what you're doing here is you're not contracting the abs, you're letting them relax. If I were to crunch on my back, you would see I would crunch this way. Well, here I'm actually just letting it all go and letting it relax. So not only are you not contracting your abs here, but you're actually putting your low back in a bad position. So the sweet spot for me is to actually go through those two extremes. Feel what it's like to go down too far. Feel what it's like to go up too high. You'll know because you won't feel any pressure at all, in your abs at all. And then go right in between. So the sweet spot for you is going to be somewhat different for each person, but it's always going to be right in this area, pretty much straight ahead. So if you're going to do your planks, make sure you're doing them in the right spot if you want those right results. Okay, the next big tip here in the kitchen is one of my go-to sources for protein, skim milk. Now I'm not just talking about milk, because there's a big difference, as we know, between whole milk and 1%, 2%, and even skim milk. 1% okay, 2% in whole milk stay away from. Because look, if you're going to rely on this multiple times throughout the day with your breakfast, either mixed in your oatmeal or just a glass of it yourself by itself, with your protein shakes, you're drinking at least 24, 32 ounces of milk a day, that's going to start to add up when you have the 5 grams of fat that are in the 2% milk and the 8 or 9 that are in whole milk, as opposed to the none that are in skim milk. So great source of protein, on the go, ready-made, ready for you. Just make sure you stick to the lower fat variations of this and you'll be good to go. Alright, another important tip here is, and I know it's going to sound crazy and so simplified, but if you want to develop your abs, you have to contract your abs. And I can't tell you how many times I see guys, when they do a move, they're just thinking in their head, how do I get from point A to point B? And most of the time they're using the muscles that aren't supposed to be doing the job. So remember, your body's smart. It's going to do what it knows how to do to get to that point, but it may not be doing it the right way. So quick demonstration, if I have to get this band down to here, okay, to work on, just my ab exercise in my head here, some kind of a crunch, I can get there. I'm probably pulling from my arm. I'm probably, using a little of my hip flexor to actually pull my body down isometrically. That's all wrong. If you want to get the abs to do the work, then you got to get the abs to do the work. You take it here, you crunch through the abs and come down. Okay? Here, crunch through the abs and come down. I could demonstrate it here on a hanging leg raise. Again, hip flexor involvement is going to be a key mistake. You're going to be lifting with your hip up, right? That would be the wrong move. What we want to do is we want to take here and we want to contract the abs first, like that. You see like a little pelvic roll, and then up and down. The little pelvic roll will tell you that you're using your abs, and down. So remember guys, if you want to work the abs, you want to get them to show, you better use them when you do the exercise. Alright, you want to get six-pack abs. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. Anybody that tells you a calorie is a calorie is lying to you, because your body digests and metabolizes things much differently depending upon the source of the calorie. We've talked about the thermic effect of food a little bit. Thermic effect meaning how many calories are used just to digest that food. When you're talking about pure sugars, it's nearly zero. When you're talking about proteins, it's about 25% or so of that food goes towards just digesting it. So let me show you a real quick example. You go to Starbucks, you see the treats that they try to pass off as little snack bites or whatever. These little size cupcakes here could go 120, 150 calories. A little lollipop here could go 60 calories. These calories are not going to do the same thing for your body as would quality calories coming from, let's say, a pear or banana. And on top of that, not only are you going to be able to get more from it, because there's more vitamins, there's more minerals, there's more benefit from the food, but you're also going to be able to eat more of it. The better quality of the calories, the better, the more your body's able to use that stuff, to use that food to build muscle. It's also able to metabolize it better. You can eat more of it. So double benefit there. Would you rather have 2 of these or 1 of these little cupcakes? Don't answer that if the answer is this, but you see what I'm talking about. Alright guys, so as you can see, there's a 1-2 combination in effect here. If you want to get six-pack abs, if you want to get them as fast as possible, you got to utilize strategies in the gym, strategies up there in the kitchen to make sure that you are giving yourself the best chance to do it and do it right. AthLEAN-X has it all laid out for you guys between the workouts itself, over 25 unique ab workouts, real unique killer combinations, things that you haven't done before, I promise you, and then a meal plan that's so simple to follow, 90 days laid out for you, that just makes it so easy to not only eat the right foods but actually like them. So if you haven't already guys, we know the summer is coming here. Head over to AthLEAN-X.com, grab the 90-day training system, get yourself in the best shape of your life. You'll start seeing the ab results early on in the program as you start to strip away that fat, and you're gonna love what you see by the end of the program. So guys, like I said, AthLEAN-X.com, get it started today. Hope you enjoyed these tips. More like it, all in the program.